back to my YouTube channel. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. If you're just seeing this face for the first time, my name is Akona Favor and I am a final year medical student in the University of Nigeria. So going straight into the business of today, I'm going to be bringing you guys some tips and tricks that I have used in studying to help me over the course of 7 years that I have been in this school. Medicine is a very tasking course to study, and you need to do a lot of long hours of studying for you to be able to pass your exams. So this video is just going to be about bringing you the things I've learned in my journey as a medical student that helped me study effectively. Number one tip is to break down what you need to study into monthly, weekly, and daily goals. I talked about this in my previous video on how to set systems to help you achieve your goals. So let's say that you have an exam coming up in the next 6 months and you know you have to study all your course materials for you to be able to pass that exam. So what we're going to be doing is taking the total amount of course materials that you need to study and splitting it into what you need to study monthly, what you need to study weekly, and what you need to study daily. So let me give an illustration. If you have 120 topics to cover in the space of 6 months, so you take your 120 topics and then you divide it by 6. What do you have? You have to study 20 topics per month. So in a month you have like 4 weeks every month. So those 20 topics you need to cover in a month, you break it down by dividing 20 by 4, and then you have that every week you have to study 5 topics. So now you know that every week you have to study 5 topics for you to be able to cover this course material before the time for your exams. So your daily goal now is to study at least 1 topic a day, because you have 5 topics, you have 7 days in a week, so you can do that. Your weekdays, you use it to study 1 topic each day for the weekday, and then you use your weekends to revise or relax or whatever it is you want to do. Tip number 2 is to know what you need to study in a particular day. So now that you figured out that you have to study at least 1 topic for each day, you have to plan ahead of time what you're going to study for each day. Usually what I do is that at the beginning of the week, I plan out topics that I have to cover for the entire week, so that each day, Monday I know what I have to study, Tuesday I know what I have to study, and goes just like that. So it's going to help you to avoid procrastination that day. So once you just come to your study time, you know exactly what you need to do, and then you get straight to it. Tip number 3 is to figure out when you need to do your studying. The most important thing in a study section is to understand the material that you are studying and to have maximum concentration. So we're going to figure out a time in our day that you have the maximum mental strength and the maximum concentration. So I usually like to read around 5 a.m. in the morning, or depending on whenever I wake up. So when I wake up really early, I try to get my reading done in the morning, because that's the point where I am still refreshed, like my brain is still really clear, I don't have anything distracting me, I just have my books to focus on, and everywhere is really quiet because people are not yet awake. So that's when I get most of my reading done, and like I understand better at that point. So what we're going to do is to do an audit of our day and check the times where we have enough mental strength, enough concentration, and that is when we're going to schedule our study time so as to get the maximum benefits out of it. Tip number 4 is to figure out where to study. This is very important because some people are able to study in their rooms and on their beds, and some people are only able to study when they go to a class and sit down on a table and chair before they are able to study. So personally, I like being in my room because I cannot be in discomfort because I want to read. So I like being in my room, use my table and chair, or I might just lie down on my bed if I'm feeling a bit tired and I'm just looking at the material. I can just lie down on my bed and stuff like that. But it's better to figure out what actually works for you. So you can try the going classes or staying in your room and try to see the one that works better for you so that you can stick to that. Tip number 5 is using music or not using music. I don't know, some people say that you need to use music, it helps to understand and all that stuff. Personally, sometimes I use music, sometimes I do not. I like to hear my thoughts when I'm reading, so like sometimes when I use music, it just I don't like it. It just makes my brain so scattered. I'm not really understanding, I'm not really paying attention, and before you know it, it becomes a dance party, and I leave the book I'm supposed to read and then I start dancing and I start singing along. So it's really a bit distracting for me, but sometimes it actually helps to like set the mood for you to study. So I would recommend lo-fi study playlists from Spotify or Apple Music, any music, or YouTube Music, anyone that you use. So instead of using all these really popular songs that you can vibe to and it's really interesting, and before you know it, you're either doing karaoke or you're doing a dance party, it's better to use some of those lo-fi beats that will set the mood. Like whenever you plug it in and you know it's study time for us to concentrate, and then time for us to do the work. But personally, I don't really like using music. I would rather just read like that without any music. Tip number 6. This is very, very important. Tip number 6 is to know what exactly it is that you want to learn from this material. This is actually very important, because if you just take a study material, and you open it up and you read everything in it, and then you don't concentrate to know the important things that you're actually supposed to pick from this material, it doesn't make any sense. What do you just do? Nothing. So before you start any study session, you just go through the material or go to the objectives of the material or the PowerPoint presentation and see what exactly the lecturer wants you to know from this material. So now that I'm in final year, the main thing we're supposed to be concentrated on right now are the clinical features of diseases, investigations, the treatment for each disease. Whenever I open a study material to read, I know that these are the areas I have to concentrate on. The most important thing I need to know in this material are the clinical features of that disease. I have to know how to diagnose that disease. I have to know the investigations that will help me make a diagnosis, and I have to know the treatment. So I don't just read the material just like that. I focus on this important part and make sure that I understand these parts. So this is what makes your study session most productive. So this is something that you're supposed to know. It also helps to go through past questions and see the type of questions that they ask, and this is going to lead to probably my next point. See the type of questions they ask, so that when you're reading the material, you know what to concentrate on, and you know the important things that you're supposed to memorize. So that brings me to my next point: incorporating active recall into your study sessions. So active recall is basically not just reading your study material, but tasking your brain to remember those things that you've read. So you can do this by using flashcards like Anki, and you can do this by going through past questions like I said earlier. And also you can just use practice questions. Just make sure that you're incorporating answering questions and trying to, reproduce that thing that you have read. So just reading the material passively or copying notes is not really much of a help if you don't try to recall these things that you've read. It also helps you to remember it when it is time for you to recall it during the examinations. And then having all these mnemonics and stuff that help you to remember is also good. Personally, I don't do mnemonics because I just forget, but using past questions and using flashcards have really helped me in my journey in medical school. Tip number 8. This is incorporating accountability partners or group discussions into your studying. So this is actually really important. It helps in motivating you, because when you have a deadline, you have somebody you're accountable to, or you have a deadline for a discussion, it will push you to actually get your studying done. Another thing about group discussions is that when you guys come together to discuss a particular topic, it helps you to see the topic from different perspectives. For example, if you guys are like 3 or 4 in your discussion group, when you guys come together, everybody brings in their own way they understand it, and it actually helps you to understand it more. So people can also point out like important things from the material that you initially overlooked when you are studying it alone. So this actually helps you to like understand the material more and get some important points that you may have initially overlooked. So I really strongly recommend incorporating group discussions because it has really helped me tremendously. Okay guys, these are some of the things, tips and tricks that I have used in my 7 years of being in the university and studying for these 7 years. These are some of the things that I've done, or that has helped me to pass my exams. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you learned a thing or two from it. If you did, please like, subscribe, comment and share so that people can learn too and also join the fam. Thank you all for watching. Bye.